right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. We just had a great first session with Adrian, and we have Candace here as well. And so the first part, they didn't go in on the guys. They shared their thoughts and their opinions on men don't heal, and they talked about some really important things that I think men do need to hear. And so what we decided to do was we decided to break this down into a two-part session. And so the first part we talked about men don't heal, but what I want to do is I want to talk about the differences between men healing and women healing. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off first, and then they'll share their experiences or what their thoughts on women healing. But I think with men, when we go through our healing process, I do think it's tougher for us to heal. I don't agree with the men don't heal because I'm in the healing process right now. So obviously I don't agree with that. But um the points that they brought up were valid because I know a lot of men out there that are like that. I do know a lot of guys that go from women to women. I do know a lot of guys that find validity in how many women they smashed or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I do know that some guys out here just don't want to be left alone because they don't want to deal with their thoughts and their hurts and their pains. But I feel like those are universal problems. I do feel like I know women that are the same way. I know some women out here that be jumping around from guy to guy to guy to guy looking for comfort. I do know some women that, can't stand being alone. And all of that goes into the healing. And so, what I want to do is I want to talk about at least the healing process for me as a man. The toughest part is coming to grips or acknowledging like, yo, I effed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's my fault. Acknowledging the hurt and the pain. And some guys will say it, but they don't really acknowledge it. You know what I'm saying? They don't sit there with it, be like, dang, yo, I ruined my marriage. Like, dang, I hurt this woman so deeply. Dang, I jeopardized my whole family. A lot of guys just don't sit there and just be like, you know what? This is on me. And what I seen with guys is that we can blame sometimes, and we can say, well, I did this because you didn't do this, or I did this because you did that. And that's not where healing starts at. Healing doesn't start with, oh, because you did something, that's the reason why I did that. No, that's not it. We all got our own minds. We all got our own ability to think for ourselves and do what we feel is right. And so I know with me, the healing process started with acknowledging my faults. And then after that, it started with, okay, now where do I go from here? What do I do now? Um, and that's a scary part. That's a scary place to be in. I know some of my homeboys, we've been in that same spot, and we really talked about it. And the fact of, especially if you feel like you found the one, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just talking relationship, and then I'll go back to dealing with childhood hurts. But with relationships, when you feel like you lost the one and you don't properly heal, you just continuously looking for that instead of looking for what make you feel good. That one that you thought might be the one might not be the one. That person might not be the right person for you. So if you don't properly heal yourself, you look for that same mold or that same model of a woman. And so what I've seen with a lot of guys is they keep dating the same type of woman. You know what I'm saying? They keep dating the same woman that, oh, well, I want the woman that cook and clean and that be home and da 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 da. But you keep hurting that woman or you keep leaving that woman. Well, maybe that's not the woman for you. Maybe it's something inside of you that you gotta deal, that you gotta heal, and you gotta figure out what do I really want. And I think with that transitions back into childhood. Our first hurts, our baggage, a lot of that stuff come from childhood traumas, childhood pains that you go through it as a young person and you don't know how to properly talk about, you don't know how to properly explain, and then you grow up and you just bottle it in. And I know when I grew up, I didn't come from a household that was very affectionate. I didn't come from a household that said I love you a lot. I didn't come from a household that gave hugs and kisses. So in my head, and then my dad, and I love my dad to death. And I had conversations with my dad and stuff like that. And we really talked, and I got a chance to really understand where he was coming from. But when I was growing up, all I seen was my dad work and provide and make sure bills was paid. My mom and dad didn't hug a lot. My mom and dad didn't kiss a lot. So when I was growing up, I'm like, oh, okay, this must be what a relationship is about. Oh, I just gotta go out and provide and work and make sure the bills paid, and we gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? We gonna be good. I did those things, and 4 relationships later, I'm still single. I'm back single again. You know what I'm saying? And so then after me going through what I went through with my ex wife, and then not only that, taking the time to sit down and listen. Sometimes it's good to get closure. That's another thing too with healing. Sometimes it's good to sit down and just talk to the person, and you just take all your personal gripes or whatever you feeling, and you sit and you just really talk to the person and you really listen to what they're saying, and you can learn a lot from it. And I learned a lot from me sitting down with my ex-wife, and she learned a lot from me too, where we just sit down and just was like, look, this is how I was feeling, this is the reason why I didn't feel like I could talk to you about it. I didn't like when you was doing this, I don't like you doing that, and things of that nature. And just really sitting down and learning to process that. And when I sit down and listen to her, I related it back to my parents' relationship and realized, like, dang, yo, I was just really following the model that was laid out for me. That's what I was doing. Now, if you want to continue on with that model, then you got to find a partner that fits that model. But if you don't find a partner that fits that model, you just wasting time, really. You're really wasting time. And so, what I had to do was figure out, okay, I love my dad, but my dad his own man. You know what I'm saying? I'm my own man. Who does Paul want to be?
Yes.
And so what I did was I formulated who I wanted Paul to be, and I wrote it down, and I kept writing it down. And I talked about this in my men's support group, how valuable it is to have a guide for the type of person that you want to be, man or woman. Just having that guide, and you just live by that guide. And that's what I did until I started becoming that man that I wanted to become. And so, me sitting down with my ex and just processing everything and just learning how to let go of any negative feelings, any negative thoughts I had. That was a big part of my healing process. So, like, acknowledging the mistakes I made and the fact that I'm here right now because of the mistakes I made. Then I had to figure out, okay, where do I go from here, and how did I get here? And so that's where you go back and you deal with childhood traumas and things like that. You deal with what happened in a relationship, what might have been the triggers or the go betweens between that. And then the next thing was, and this is the thing I think is the toughest part, especially for men, but I think for people in general, is learning to forgive yourself. Is learning to forgive yourself and be like, you know what, I was only doing the best I could at that time with what I was given.
Preach.
And so that's why I really had to learn that. I really had to learn that because for the longest time, I didn't forgive myself for not speaking up on things I should have spoke about, not addressing things when they should have been addressed, and just holding a lot of that stuff in, and it started to eat away at you. And sometimes you think you be like, you know what, I'm gonna forget about it, but really you don't really forget about it. It still plague you. It still keep coming back, and it'll resurface in your life at the worst times. It'll come back up. So I had to really learn how to forgive myself all the way back to childhood. All the way back to childhood. I had to forgive myself for not saying things I wanted to say when I was a little kid and just holding on to that. And that played a big part in the reason why I was shy, because I didn't feel my voice was important enough. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel like nobody would listen to me when I would talk. And so going all the way back to then and just really forgiving myself for like a lot of things that even though it happened to me, I had a choice to speak on it or things like that. So going all the way back to then and just everything, just forgiving myself for everything and realize I did the best I could. I did the best I could. Anybody out there that's listening, I don't care what wrong you did the best you could with what you was given. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I don't really like the, and even though y'all won't bashing, y'all was just sharing y'all experiences with intensity.
Yes.
With a lot of intensity,
With
but
passion.
with the passion. But I don't like to bash people, and I don't like to judge because I don't know what people go through.
Right.
I know I went through a lot, but I'm pretty sure I ain't no pretty sure I know people been through way worse than what I've been through, and so learning to forgive yourself, it make it easier to forgive others. It make it so much easier to forgive others and just live life not carefree, but like you mentioned, in the present.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You're not worried about the future and scared about what's going back on then. You're not worried about the past and dwelling on that. You're just living in the present, you know. And so learning to forgive yourself was a big step. And I know a lot of guys don't do that. I know a lot of guys because I know guys I talk to that still feel that game and that shame and that guilt. I say game. I mixed guilt and shame together.
That's
That
all right.
game, but they don't. Yeah, it's a
It's
game.
a game.
It's a
Came
game.
out
Yes.
by accident.
Yeah, but because you get caught up in the maze, yeah. You get caught
Ooh.
up in the maze, but that shame and that guilt, they don't
Ooh.
they don't know how to like let that go. They really hype about me
Oh, that's
saying game.
because it works.
It,
It turns into game. Because what's the first thing we say? Y'all playing games
yeah.
from your guilt and your shame.
And a perfect point is like when I talk to people now, I be straight up. I'm like, look, this is where I'm at in life. I'm at a point now. I'm focused on like my businesses, my career, and my daughter is top priority. Do I want to date and stuff? Yeah, I want to date. I want to have a good time. I'm definitely interested in meeting nice people, but at this time, I'm not ready to commit. You know what I'm saying? It's as simple as saying that, but a lot of dudes feel like, oh, if I say that, she gonna go away. Low self confidence, not 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 being strong enough in who you are to say what you really want. Like I
Yes.
know some guys out here that want like the two wives and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I know some guys out here that want that. If that's what you want, you just be upfront and be honest with it. And somebody gonna go along with it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody, it's people out here that are rock with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta be strong enough and bold enough. And the thing that I think that get women is when guys don't be upfront about what they really want and where they at right now. And so I could definitely understand that far as the women's perspective of, the game.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that come from, the shame of like what they've been through in the past and stuff like that. So really all of that stuff really encompasses the healing process. And from a men's perspective, um, I would just say I know a lot of guys heal through women, and that's not the right way to do it. That's not the right way to do it. They look for comfort in a woman, which sometimes it's good to get temporary comfort. It's good to talk to somebody because I do feel like women just have this natural care, like whether it be in their voice or in their touch or whatever. Women have a natural, innate nature to be caring and compassionate that some men don't have. So it is good to go to comfort for women like temporarily. But the best thing to do, I feel, for a man to be comfort, to really heal, is to deal with it on their own, and you gotta be around other men. You gotta be around other men because nobody gonna understand a man except a man. You know what I'm saying? Nobody, women don't go through men experiences.
That's
You know what
true.
I'm saying? So other men got to get together, and that's why I feel like my support group is so important because all us men, when we sit down and we talk, we got a lot of the same experiences. It's just about how do you handle it.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? How do you handle your experiences? What do you learn from it? Are you learning from it? So that's my general because I could go off and start really really deep
And
diving.
you going deep. That's all
Yeah,
right.
but I would say for me and the man experience of what we talked about as far as healing is that men do heal, but they gotta want to heal. They gotta know they need healing. Some men don't think they need healing. You know, they think they walking around here like, oh man, I'm good, I'm straight, and stuff like that. But the actions you taking don't demonstrate that you good and you straight. You know what I'm saying? My fellas that continuously get locked up over and over again. You can't say you good and you straight and you keep doing stuff that's jeopardizing your freedom. You know what I'm saying? Like it's stuff like that. So we gotta acknowledge the wrongs we did. It's good to acknowledge the good things because you want to feel good about yourself, but you got to acknowledge the pain and stuff that you cause people, the pain that you cause yourself. You got to know, okay, where do I go from here? How did I get to here? And then lastly, you just got to forgive yourself. And that's the message I want to preach, especially to my fellas out there, man. I know, look, I done did some stuff. You know what I'm saying? I done did some stuff growing up that I'm definitely not proud of. But I forgave myself. I forgave myself. And I know all us guys out here, we doing the best that we can with what we're given. Do we always do right? No, we don't. We don't always do right. Do we hurt people? Yes, we hurt people. We hurt people. But the thing I want to preach is that nobody else is responsible for our healing except ourselves. Nobody else is responsible for our feelings but ourselves. So we just got to learn how to be stronger and not less emotional, but be careful who you give your emotions to, and just really learn to self love. So that's my message for my guys out there. That's the process I feel like for healing that I've been through and continuously going through, and that's the men's experience of it. But I want to hear the women's experience because I got some wonderful women right here. So I'm definitely interested to hear the women's experience of healing because y'all bashed us last segment. So y'all go ahead and go.
We didn't bash y'all.
Went in on us.
We just gave y'all the raw and the real. So first of all, Paul, I actually really like some of the points that you made. And I want to say that as a woman listening to you, when you talked about ownership, acknowledging and taking accountability, being responsible and taking that accountability essentially for what you did, what your role was in it, that was huge. And then like you mentioned, the support group, like men need support. Mm-hmm. And I think you have proven that, you have embodied that, you have shown that, and you are promoting it in such a positive way that I hope other men listening to you will take that point, because not only did you write down what you saw in yourself as being a man, and you took that pain and that hurt and turned it into a journaling experience, in a self-reflection experience, in an introspective experience where you turned in and said, let me look in the mirror. Mm-hmm. Let me look in the mirror and let me see what I've done wrong so I can look at the qualities that I want to be better. Mm. That was powerful. And then not only did you say, okay, let me just go from within, you said, now let me reach out. Let me look for help. So you didn't say it explicitly, but asking for help is so crucial to healing. Yep. And that's what you did. So I think you're right. Men can heal if they want to heal, and men will heal if they do the things necessary to do so. So I agree with you on that. You're right. Mm. It's not true that men don't heal. That's not true. Mm. Or it doesn't have to stay true. It is true for some, but it doesn't have to stay that way. So yeah. I agree 100% that if men will take those important steps to look back. You said also, don't just look at yourself now. Look at who you were as a child. Yeah. Look at your childhood trauma. I'm blown away by how much you were able to connect, to grow and move forward and start to process that pain, to work through it. So I just want to give you a shout out for that.
I appreciate that. And I don't want to cut you off, but everything comes from childhood. Like, we develop the most crucial time for children, and that's why I work so much with my daughter right now, is from ages 0 to 7. They develop their personality. Their brain is the most active at the time. That's when they learn more. And so that crucial time period is when a lot of the stuff happens that formulate and which could dictate what happens in the future. And so the childhood trauma, like if you got relationship problems, if you got problems with relationships, it's somewhere back in your childhood where it started. You know what I'm saying? It's somewhere back in the childhood. So it's with my ex-wife and the thing she told me, as far as like not being affectionate, feeling like I'm disconnected emotionally and stuff like that. She wasn't the first woman to tell me that. Almost every woman I dated said, "Paul, you unaffectionate." And almost every woman that I dated said that, "Yo, you probably the most unaffectionate guy I might have ever dealt with." Like multiple women that told me that. But after a while, I was like, man, all right, maybe it's not them. It got to be me now. Especially when my wife left me. Like we took vows, said to death do us part, and she tell me this. Okay, all right, I gotta listen now. And that's the other thing I wanted to say too. Men, other than I don't know if it's true for women or not, but men learn from pain. We learn from pain. We learn from going through it. You know what I'm saying? We don't really change unless we go through something with men. And I don't know why that is. Um, I can't explain that one. But I think far as men, we really don't change unless we go through something. And that's why it's so important for women to know yourself and to stand up for what you want because you could be that initiation for change. My ex-wife leaving me is the reason why I am the man I am right now. Part of the reason. If she won't brave enough and strong enough to be like, look, what you giving me is unacceptable, I wouldn't have been able to make the changes that I have now. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have been able to self reflect. I was already in a process of personal growth, but I was looking far as business wise and things like that. I wasn't really looking relationship wise. I'm like, yo, how can I make more money? Let me look at attracting more people so I can have a mastermind group so I could really explode my businesses. I was looking from that angle. I wasn't really looking from a family angle. So if she didn't do what she did, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And so like I thank her. Like I just told her the other day, like, yo, I appreciate you for what you did. You know what I'm saying? Like, thank you for that. Because I became a way better person from it. And I think that's the thing women don't understand is like how much power women have. You know what I'm saying? Women have so much innate power that y'all got the ability just from leaving somebody to make them want to change. I don't know no woman that changed because a guy left them. You know what I'm saying? You think about that. Have you ever thought about a guy leaving a woman and they be like, you know what? I need to change and do better and stuff. I done heard a couple of guys do that. You know what I'm saying? Power. Women have so much power that they don't even realize that just the strength of you being able to walk away from a situation and say, you know what, this is unacceptable. I don't like what you're giving to me. This is not working. Blah blah blah. You got the ability to change. I know. I got a good friend of mine. Um, I can't remember who broke up with who, but they separated, and now he even years later he still think he was like, man, you know what? Ever since then, like I realized, like, yo, I gotta really work on myself. Now his took a little bit more time to get to where he at, but even he was like, you know what, man, I realized like, yo, man, I messed up, and I learned from that and stuff like that. I don't know not one woman that a guy done broke up with them, and they be like, you know what, I need to change. That's the power that women have. That's the power that women have, and I really they over here smiling just to let y'all know too. But I didn't mean to cut you off, Adrian, but I just wanted to let people know like that childhood trauma. If you got issues going on right now, more than likely it's something that happened in that childhood, especially that ages 0 to 7 range, that could play a big factor in the things that you're going through now. That's all I gotta say. All right, y'all got it from here.
Yeah, that was actually a really good point that you made about how we have the power to pretty much, spark that change within men. Um, yeah, because oftentimes that's not communicated to us as women, and so we just go on thinking, what did I do wrong, or I could have done this better, what's wrong with me, or like we end up thinking all of this doubt, and you making that point right there really sparked something. And I think that that was a really good point to make.
Yeah, and that's why I asked you when you had said like about men moving on and even getting married. Y'all play a factor in that. You know what I'm saying? Because before my ex wife, I learned from her. So I got better. Like each relationship, I got better. You know what I'm saying? So I learned from her. So I wasn't as unaffectionate. You know what I'm saying? Because I heard that before, but like I wasn't there yet because it was other stuff I didn't heal. But if you see, like, what I want people out there to do is if you see an ex that's married now, congratulate them and be happy for them because more than likely you played a role in them being in that part in that space. You know what I'm saying? You played a role in them doing better. You know what I'm saying? I would feel bad if I had an ex of mine that's not doing well. I'm like, dang, did you not learn nothing from me? You know what I'm saying? Like at least for me, because my thing is I want to leave each person I'm with. I want them to be better than they was before. Because if not, I was no good to you at all. You know what I'm saying? I was just a waste of time and space. So if I haven't made each person I've been with better, then I feel bad. I'm like, dang man, I was really terrible. Like I was really bad. So instead of like just being mad and upset, like, oh, how could they move on and how could they be this and that? You can look at it a couple of ways. You could be like, well, that's somebody else's burden. At least I ain't dealing with that no more. You can look at it that way, or you can look at it like, dang, maybe they learned from me and maybe they doing what they didn't do for me, they doing for somebody else. And I think the problem is that people, when they hear that, like when they see their person move on and they happy, the first thing they think is like, oh, why didn't you do that with me? You know what I'm saying? Why didn't you do that with me? Because they weren't in the position to do it. You know what I'm saying? They weren't ready to do it. You might have been that step that they needed to get them ready. You know what I'm saying? So it's not, I don't want people to think about it in a bad way. That, oh, that person is moving on. You either, suggest either think about it in a way like, oh, that's a burden off my back. Somebody else got to deal with
Amen.
that.
Amen.
Like, look, y'all deal with that. Hey,
Bye.
you know what I'm saying? You can look at it that way or be like, dang man, I must have really helped them where they got. Look, Adrian, like,
I'm so thankful. Listen, I'm praying for you. Whoever you are who got them, I'm praying for you, baby.
Amen.
I'm praying for her because thank you.
Look, they said forget the second part. We're going with the first part.
Nah, I agree with you.
But that's the reason why, and I'm glad that maybe I could spark something, especially in women, to make them feel more empowered because women got the power to change, man. It's something about women that just it could break a guy down. You know what I'm saying? Like it could break a guy down that even like another man just can't understand. Like another man just can't be as the affection, the love, the care, the touch, the caress, all of that stuff. Another man, in my opinion, can't give that to another man. You know what I'm saying? The ability to be able to listen on an intimate level, like that stuff is hard for another guy. Not I shouldn't say can't. It's hard for another guy to give that to another guy, and so yeah, that's what like learning and growing should be. I feel like for men should be learned from other men, but the care, for the emotions and stuff. A woman, nobody do that better than a woman. You know what I'm saying? Nobody makes anybody else feel more comfortable than a woman. And the part is, I remember me and you was talking about it. Like even as a salesperson, women and men are more likely to buy from a woman than from a man because they feel more comfortable, just innately more comfortable. Y'all feel more trusting than what a man does. So all of that stuff, a woman got so much power, yo, that they just don't understand and just don't realize. And so that's why I don't when I hear, not y'all won't bashing, y'all was talking intensely. When I hear people talking intensely like that, I'm just like, dang, don't y'all know y'all got the power? You know what I'm saying? Don't y'all know that, or you don't have to accept what somebody else is giving you. You know what I'm saying? You could have your level, and if somebody don't reach it, they gotta go. You know what I'm saying? And so, and for my fellas, that's the same way for us too. That's the same way for us too. If a woman not meeting our standards, we can let them go too. But it's just something about a woman, yo, that just is crazy. But that's it. I'm done giving y'all praise.
Shoot, that's some positivity right there. That's a whole lot of it.
It's true though. In my opinion, it's true though. But y'all go ahead. Y'all talk about y'all healing process because we don't want to keep going too much longer.
You don't want to make it a part 3 because we could if we need to. You want to keep it rocking?
You want me to just talk about this just men's healing then?
If you feel led,
We could go ahead because I done took up majority of the time now anyway. So yeah, we'll just make this the men's healing section. But I just had to share that stuff because it's so important, especially the childhood trauma. We all go through stuff as children
That's so true.
that we really don't heal from because we're not taught communication skills, like effective communication skills at young ages. That when something happens, you could go talk to somebody. You got somebody that you love and trust. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we don't have the love and care at the household where we feel comfortable enough to talk to somebody, even if it's a parent, and it's sad. It's really sad that when you a child and you go through things and you feel like you don't have anybody to talk to, and especially like I just look at my situation growing up as a young man and the fact that my dad worked so much. I love my dad to death. My dad is my biggest role model. He my hero. You know what I'm saying? And my dad did the best he could because his dad wasn't there. So he did what he thought was right. And then the funny part was when I got older and when I was getting in a relationship, my dad tried to talk to me. He tried to talk sense into me. He tried to talk about like being more affectionate and stuff like that. But in my head, I like, okay, Dad, I got you. But I still resorted back to what I saw instead of what I was hearing because I'm a visual person. So I was like, oh, affection, okay, all right. When I see my girl, I give her a kiss on the cheek. Then boom, I'm going to sit down and watch TV. That's affection to me. That was affectionate. You know what I'm saying? Like that was. I like, oh man, I'm being affectionate. That's good. But it's so much deeper than that. It's so much deeper in that. So it go back to like I said, when you growing up as a young man and or woman, and you don't feel comfortable enough to talk through your issues and your problems that you're going through. And it gets tough because as you get older, you either go talk to other kids, which ain't the right, you know what I'm saying? It's good to have your friends and stuff like that, but when you're going through life stuff, you need to talk to an adult that been there and done that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that could kind of guide you through those pitfalls so you don't go through the pitfalls. And it was so much stuff I could have avoided just by talking to, especially my dad. You know what I'm saying? And the other good thing was that like, as I got older, that relationship got better with my dad. You know what I'm saying? As I got older, I started feeling more comfortable to go talk to him because I was experiencing stuff that like I'm like, man, I don't know who else I can turn to. Like I gotta go to my dad now. You know what I'm saying? When I went through my divorce, me and my dad took a long ride. He does deliveries, and we took a long ride for like 2 hours, and he was just talking to me, just talking to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, that's why I told you about laying the foundation right. You know what I'm saying? Like he was talking to me because he tried to tell me these things, but it just got to the point where I was like so set in my ways from what I saw from him that I didn't really listen to what he said. And so that's why it's so important to heal those childhood traumas because now I'm able to talk to my dad. I'm able to talk to my mom. You know what I'm saying? I got a better relationship with my siblings and things like that. All of that stuff, when you heal up your past, and not because I really don't like focusing just on relationships because your upbringing got an effect on your relationship. Your relationship with your parents got an effect on your relationship. How you interact with your friends have an impact on your relationship. All of these things impact your relationship where if you could get those things in order, I feel like you'll have a more successful relationship because you're showing the steps needed to lay foundation for a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like if you got all the people out there that have strained relationship with your parents, I highly suggest talking to them and just asking those questions you always wanted to ask but been afraid to ask. You know, sometimes it's good to learn the history of where you come from. And that means like learning what your parents went through. You know what I'm saying? Because I sat down, I done had a couple of conversations with my parents, and I realized the same things I went through, they went through. The same things. And if we would have had these conversations earlier, it's a lot of stuff I could have avoided. But I'm glad I didn't have those conversations because I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. But that's the one thing like I learned is that when my daughter gets of age and stuff like that, like I'm gonna have honest conversations with her. I'm gonna have honest conversations about, you know, my upbringing and the things that I went through and how I didn't like it or how I loved it. I'm gonna have honest conversations about, you know, this is what happened between me and your mom or whatever. And it's no hard feelings. Like we still have love for each other, but this is where we at right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna have honest conversations with her so that way she can learn from my mistakes and hopefully won't make the same mistakes. Cause that's what I learned when I had those conversations with my parents. I'm like, dang man, I made the same mistakes y'all made, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, if y'all would have told me this like when I was 15 or something, like all the stuff I could have avoided, but nobody had that conversation with them. So at some point, somebody got to be that person that breaks the chain. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got to be that person that be like, you know what? Hey, I'm gonna stop it right here.
Breaking those generational curses.
Breaking them because it's been so many times I like when I look back on my family and stuff like that. I was so afraid of going through a divorce because I'm like, man, I don't know nobody else in my family that been through a divorce. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like the first person, and I didn't even want the divorce. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't want it, but when I sat back and I accepted what was in front of me, I realized like, dang, maybe what I came from, maybe everybody wasn't happy as they thought they was, or maybe everybody wasn't, you know, it wasn't as good as it could have been.
And they still stayed even if they weren't happy.
Exactly. And so now I'm to the point now where I'm like, I'm good. I'm good with the direction that my life is heading in right now. And so to everybody out there listening, because I kind of talked about childhood trauma and stuff a little bit before, but this is the deepest I probably went with it. But it's good far as like men's healing. Like people automatically look to relationships whenever they in situations where really, hey, you might gotta go back and see that relationship with the parents. You might gotta see your upbringing. You might gotta see the traumas that you went through and how that was handled, or how you said something or how you didn't say something, and try to heal that first. Because once you heal that, that's why people make the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah. You keep making the same mistakes because you haven't. You think the problem is the relationship. No, it's something in the past that you got to heal up first. And so that's why I went, and that's why I think it's so important that I brought that up and really shared that.
I have a question for you, Paul.
Go ahead.
So what advice do you have for men who are trying to heal, but either their parents aren't in the picture, or maybe they lost a parent who passed away, or, you know, they have a reason why they can't reconnect with that parent, and maybe, you know, they don't have a local support group, or, you know, what advice do you have to those men who have those unresolved childhood issues?
The advice I would give to them: tap in with your spirituality, find you a little prayer corner or something, and talk to them. Talk to them. Even though they're not here, if they passed away, their spirit's still here. And just get everything off. You know what I'm saying? If you can't find them, you know what I'm saying? I would suggest trying to locate them. But if you can't, just because they're not physically in front of you, doesn't mean you can't talk and get that off your chest. There's a bunch of people out here, they got issues with people. And what they do is they go and hit a punching bag and you think about them. You know what I'm saying? And you get that resentment out. So you're transforming that energy into something else. And so you could do the same thing with a conversation. Like my grandmother passed 4 years ago. And actually this was probably, and I think I talked about it on one of my podcasts, but that was probably one of the turning points in my relationship with my ex, because I was so hurt and broke up over that because she had called me like a week before she passed, and I didn't pick up, and I didn't even reach out to her. You know what I'm saying? And then I was coming back from North Carolina, and my parents told me to head straight to their house. And so I went to the house and I seen all the family there. Our family ain't hardly ever there all together. So I knew something was wrong. And then they told me my grandmother passed. And so that was so tough for me. And it was hard to get over because I felt so much guilt about like not picking up that phone call. You know what I'm saying? Not picking up that phone call. And it was a good month where like I cried every single day. You know what I'm saying? Like every single day because my grandmother played a huge part in raising me. You know what I'm saying? A lot of my first memories was with my grandmother. And so I say that to say how I not overcame it, but how I was able to move forward was that like I remember I was in the car one day and this is the song by Bobby Caldwell called Do for Love. Every time I used to hear it, I used to like cry. And the crazy part is it's so funny is that like I never heard that song on the radio before. I never heard that song on the radio before, but after she passed, that song just kept playing all this. I'm like, why do this song keep playing? Like, why does this song keep playing? And then I remember that song came on one day, and I sat in my car and I cried, and I was like, you know what, Grandma, like, please forgive me. You know, if I could have been there, I would have been there. Like, I just laid everything out. You know what I'm saying? And I felt so much better afterwards. Like I felt so much better just getting everything off my chest and just telling her. And I felt like, I felt spiritually supported by her. Like that's what I believe and that's what I feel. And now like I can listen to that song and be happy about it and be like, okay, Grandma, you give me a sign. You know what I'm saying? Like it turned from sadness to happiness. And so what I always tell people that especially if they're not there, man, just find you like a little corner or find you some isolated time where you could just lay it out, just talk to them, just have a conversation. Like their spirit is still, and my belief is their spirit is still circulating. You know what I'm saying? The flesh dies, but the spirit lives on. It's just energy. Energy never dies; it just transfers. And so, just go in that corner or the car or whatever, and just let it out, man. Just tell them like, look, if you mad, like, man, I'm mad you left me. I told my grandma that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, why'd you leave me? Like, I wanted to blow up, get these businesses going. I wanted to buy you a house. I wanted to take care of you. It was so much more stuff. My daughter was just born. She was 6 months. It was 7 months when she passed. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to watch my you supposed to watch my daughter grow up. It was so I'm mad you left. You know what I'm saying? I got everything out. And that's why I suggest for people that if they not here, their spirit is here. Talk to them. Talk to them and just let everything go. You know what I'm saying? You got to let it go for yourself. Because even though they not here, you still got to live on. And you still got to find a way to keep moving forward and live the best and most effective life you possibly can.
Yes.
So talk to them. I don't care if they not here. Talk to them. To get you a little picture. I actually have, in my old house before we moved out, I used to have a remembrance wall, and I'll put like every funeral I went to, I put like the pictures up, like the obituaries up, and so every time, and that was like in my my beat making area. So I made my beats or whatever, and I look over and I see, and that's my inspiration. You know what I'm saying? And so even though they passed on, y'all, I firmly believe that. I still talk to my grandma. I talk to my uncle. You know what I'm saying? And they'll manifest themselves. They'll show themselves to you. My belief, they'll show themselves to you, and because they didn't show themselves. I didn't heard my grandma talk to me. Like I heard her say my name. I see my grandma and my daughter sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You'll see stuff like I don't even want to get too deep into it, but have the conversation with them. Like just talk to their spirit if they're not physically here. If you got a gravesite, go to the gravesite and talk to them, man, and just let everything. Like I'm mad you left me. I don't like the way I was raised when I was growing up. But you always end with, I forgive you and I understand. And for the people that got parents here, you talking to them to get everything out, but you need understanding to why they did it. You know what I'm saying? And if they can't give that to you, then you still forgave them. You know what I'm saying? But when you can understand, like I understand why my parents did the things they did. I understand why they are the way they are. And based off of that, it's like, yo, man, I'm not even mad at you no more. Like, I appreciate the stuff you did. Even the stuff I thought was wrong, I totally get what you did, why you did it. It's a story behind everything. So the ones that got people here, talk to them from a place of love and care and trying to get understanding. For the people that don't have their loved ones here, go find you like a quiet place and just open up and just share and talk, man, and tell them like, yo, I'm mad that you left me. I'm mad that this happened. I'm mad this happened. I'm mad this happened. But I love you so much. Like, I care for you so much. I appreciate everything you did for me, and I love you, and I forgive you for those things. And then watch how things start turning for you. It's a turning point. It's a turning point, and you just gotta be prepared for that, because it's gonna be a positive turning point, because you just let that stuff go. And so that's, I'm long winded, but that's it though. All right.
That's beautiful.
Amen. Wonderful testimonies.
All right, and so that's the men's healing. It was supposed to be men versus women's, but end up turning to men's healing. But we good to go. All right, y'all. Peace.